Hello and welcome to Arranging Figures and Props with PoseMaster for DAZ Studio. In my scene I've got a blue Genesis, a yellow Genesis and a red Genesis, and I've also loaded a blue cube, yellow cube and a red cube. Now let's select the blue cube and we'll move that back by 100 units, and then I'm going to select PoseMaster copy, and I'm going to copy the blue cube's position. Now let's select the red and the yellow cube and paste that position, only position. Nothing happens, and the reason is that PoseMaster stores the pose information based on the bone name. Figures and props have geometry, so it uses the geometry name, but primitives do not. PoseMaster is not going to apply the blue pose to the red cube unless we choose the force option. Force tells PoseMaster to ignore name matching and just force the pose on the selected object. As you can see, our red and our yellow cubes have now moved back and are now at the same position as the blue cube. Now let's say we want to move them back a bit further. If I apply that same pose again, they will simply move to where they already are. If I select relative, then the pose that's just been applied will be applied again. I check force again, and the pose, which was minus 100 along the z-axis, has been applied relative to the position the yellow and the red cube were in. Now I'm going to select the yellow cube and move it 100 along the x-axis, and I'm going to select the red cube and move it minus 100 along the x-axis. Right, now let's move our figures. I select the blue cube and I select copy, and let's move the blue figure to the blue cube. I only want position, and remember I need to check force, otherwise PoseMaster is not going to apply the blue cube saved pose to the blue Genesis figure. Right, there's blue Genesis. Let's do the same for the yellow. I need to click force each time. That's just a safety measure so that you don't inadvertently paste the wrong thing. So force is, all the other options are remembered, but force you need to click every time. Right, there we've got all of our figures now aligned with the different cubes. Right, let's select the red cube. As you can see, its position is minus 100, minus 200. I'm going to copy that position, and now we also select red Genesis, and we're going to paste the invert of that position. We're only selecting position here. Invert changes the sign of position and rotation, and it flips the scale. So 200% scale inverted is 50%. Now I want to paste the inverted position to Genesis as well as the cube, so I have to select the force option, otherwise only the cube is going to move. Let's click OK, and what we have here is Genesis and the cube have moved to positive 100 on the x-axis, positive 200 on the z-axis. I'm going to undo that. Now if we had selected relative, let's see what happens. Remember, this pastes the pose relative to the object's current position. Right, only the cube moved because we didn't select force. I undo, and let's try that again with the force option selected. Now what's happened is the Genesis and the cube have moved from negative 100, negative 100 to 0, positive 100. So that's consistent, and that gives you some idea for how to position objects around the scene. In this case, when you're working with simple numbers, 100, 1000, 500 or 50, it's easy to type them into the parameters tab, but when your objects are placed in non-standard locations in the scene, it's quite easy to move multiple objects around by copying the position of a specific object in the scene. Right, let's try using some scale options. I select the red cube and I'm going to give it vertical scale 200%, and let's copy that, and we will paste the 200% scale onto the red genesis. I need to select force. Right, red genesis is now scaled 200% vertically, and let's paste the inverse of that. I'm selecting both the yellow genesis and the yellow cube. We paste the inverse of the 200% scale onto those two, and as you can see, they've been scaled to 50% vertically. Right, we're done with this tutorial. We've shown you how to use PoseMaster for arranging figures and props. Thank you.